Hey you, so on this video, can the US and the UK end up like Venezuela? I just want to go over a few things discussing whether you believe and whether I believe, or scenarios that I could see that could have these two main countries I'm referring to here looking like Venezuela. And i.e., they seem to be going through an absolute crisis at the moment. Financially, economically, it's just, you couldn't ask for a worse crisis. From housing to finance to food, it's just a complete mess over there. And it's a lot of times people reference Venezuela when they're leaving comments in my comments like, X, Y, and if you've got some silver or gold, you'd be fantastic in Venezuela now. So I just wanted to go over a few points as to how and why I could maybe see these two first world countries that I'm going to be focusing on mainly, and that's going to be the USA, United States of America, North America, and the United Kingdom, which I'm in, looking like Venezuela, if possible, if I do believe it could happen. So once again, if you haven't done so already and like what you hear, please do go ahead and subscribe, and also let me know in the comments what your thoughts and opinions are on whether you believe the US could end up like Venezuela, in the same state that they're in right now, just in absolute ruins. Please do let me know if you think it could never happen. Let me know in the comments if you think you're one click away from there. Also let me know in the comments and we'll jump straight into this. So I've got the gold silver dragon set here on display in the background. I'll try to pick a few coins up as we move along. So I've asked this because currently at release of this video we're seeing spot price increasing, so it shows that it's a trend that you technically can depend on, and one I like to mainly focus on other than charts mainly, and that is when wealth gets scared and they can see a lot of turmoil going on out in the world, they like to take their money out of it and put it into something more secure. And so we're seeing that currently with the current little rises we're seeing in the gold and the silver spot prices. Whether it will keep going is another thing, but it also got me to thinking on whether a first world country like America, North America, and even the UK could ever be in a situation as bad as, and have we ever been in one? I know the closest you could come to big country of a mega status would be Germany, and they don't seem like they're going to be going down that road ever. They have more coin shops that could rival the US that I know of, and they do store a lot of their money in metals. So they're well ahead of the game when it comes to that. But the UK, I know America's seen a massive recession also, and they're bang on, switched on, especially with the prepping scene also. But do you believe that, America, we'll touch on now, could ever end up looking like Venezuela? Now, I'll give three scenarios that I could possibly see it triggering or being one click away from it looking like that. But of course, it would take a bit of time. But one thing that I would first say is I could see something like a civil war. Civil war sounds ridiculous to some, maybe, depending on who you're asking, but a civil war, and it will tie into the third point that I'm going to give regarding world leaders, is looking more plausible when you have a lot of separation going on within Parliament, Senate, and the likes of. These types of things happen when people are clutching not only for power opportunities, but any opportunity to try and get ahead of the game, where funds seem to be tight. It seems to be what everybody's lacking, especially in the UK government. I can't see it as much so more on the small UK island and the surrounding countries, but more so mainly in America. A civil war, which has happened before, could be on the horizon anytime soon. You have your border mates, well, the biggest border mate would be Canada. You got Mexico down below, but anything is possible there. I don't know how their relationship currently is, but I would think a civil war, even within the states, could trigger a situation. It only takes one decision too many. At the moment, I can see metals are being taxed a lot in the US, and these things are coming out of nowhere. But this is, from what I can see, just the states' attempt to claw in funds from anywhere and everywhere. A taxation that wasn't there once upon a time that now appears to me just seems like, they're now really going low. If they didn't need to do it before, it's either, lucky you, or they're just turning the heat up. They need more and more funds because it just isn't there. And where do you go to when you need more funds? The same guys you've been flogging the whole entire time. So a civil war is something that I could see that could trigger off a situation that would, fighting in amongst yourself. The other side always loves that. So I'm sure the East would be sitting down with their arms and legs crossed with the popcorn anyone out. But it would lead also to a very bad situation and scenario. What the team wants and what the side wants is a war with somebody else, especially with your UK and America right now. You've got Iran or China, which would be catastrophic. But, you want to go out and have war. You don't want to be warring within. A war within could be very catastrophic. And I could see that easily leading to situations where when you're in fighting, your currency is going to take a massive hit. And from there, it snowballs down from there. So that would be one scenario where I could see the UK and America ending up in a similar situation to Venezuela, and that would be a civil war. Climbing straight off of that onto a next scenario that I could see would be hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is a cause that we all know, something that's going on in Venezuela right now. But if the US had hyperinflation currently, or the UK, then, it's pretty much game over. The stuff that we're into, if you're watching this video, is going to be gold and silver, and especially if you're a prepper of any type also, is there to help us against that. But that's just us small majority, us small percentage that have our hats screwed on tight enough to be aware of what happens when we see that. Right now you're hearing talk of 1 ounce of silver could buy you a month's worth of shopping in Venezuela. Whether it's true to date, I still haven't checked up on this. For me, it's just a lot of regurgitation or news off of news off of news off hearsay. But I have seen the articles where they're out, eggs cost damn near £10 an egg and stuff like that. So you do 10 times 6 or a dozen. And, I've heard of people breaking into zoos and attacking the animals in there and just going ham and just, these sound extremely barbaric. But when you think about it, you take all of the luxuries away from any human being and you leave him down to his bare essentials with nothing or no means to eat, you can only imagine how ugly it gets. So in a situation like that, a hyperinflation situation, I could only see it being very, very bad for America or the UK. Any country, you're going to suffer badly if we end up in hyperinflation times. Hyperinflation right now, I believe having your wealth stored would make you okay when it's bartering time. I'm not going to be taking this coin, for instance, even though this is a high premium collector coin. I think whichever form of currency comes into play, as long as you've got your money out of fiat or the currency that's just now blown into oblivion, into nothing, worthless toilet paper, and have it stored in something that is worth something, you'll always be able to trade it into the new something, or, trade it for something that is worth something. So that's where I see it playing a massive role. Whether a person's going to be able to take this coin, for instance, for his, block of apartments because he can't pay his rent, or, the bank's going to be taking whatever in and changing it for the chocolate buttons that's now currency. I don't know. I have no idea how it's going to play. But what I do know is if you have a situation like hyperinflation anywhere on the planet, if your savings, your life savings, your insurance pot isn't stored in that currency that's just gone poof, and it's stored in something that won't go poof, you're good as gold, ultimately, regardless of what comes out, regardless of what's happening on the streets, if it's barter, if it's farmers markets. If you've got this stuff, and that's going to be the gold and the silver, regardless of where you go or how you travel, you'll always be able to convert it into real wealth or real valuable goods and things from there. So hyperinflation is most definitely a situation where I could see, whether it's the US dollar or the UK pound. Now, I don't think, and it being a first world country, I can understand, I don't see it playing out as fast as it did with Venezuela. I think just to save themselves, they'll be able to implement situations which won't let it fall that low. You may lose the dollar or the pound, but I don't think we would spiral down into a situation because of the stature both countries hold and where their position is on the planet in terms of power. I see Venezuela, the odds were always stacked against them just from where they've been. If the dollar went today, depending on how many people turned their backs on America, on even with the pound happening right now with Brexit, we're going to be seeing how well that plays out should we do what Boris is saying he's going to do, as I'll be following on to the next point there. But I think regardless, hyperinflation is definitely a trigger point. Can it be the catalyst? Who knows? But the third point I would say, and one that is also playing out as we see, I would say radical world leaders. I'm going to put the radical there depending on who you're asking. But, I'll go over and say right now, in time of releasing this video, we have two very controversial leaders. You know, in America we have Trump, and in the UK we recently now got Boris. Let's go over the past couple. You know, they've all had their controversy tagged to them. So we'll start at Bush and Blair. You know, it was a lot going on for the both of them. I think their highest points was the weapons of mass destruction, Iraq War. You know, and then I think for Bush himself, depending on who you ask, you had the 9/11 inside or outside, or I don't know, book upside down job. But, you know, it wasn't as much focus on them. They was able to trot along. You're never going to find presidents that's loved by all, you know, but all presidents or prime ministers. But it was business as usual. There wasn't as much venom for them two as I'm seeing for the current two. And then after that, you had Obama and Cameron. I'd say pretty much the same for them. Obama being the first, of course. So it was a merry-go-round. It was happy days, you know, especially for Cameron. There wasn't that much blunder happening there. They're high and low points. I mean, Cameron did try, which has left us in the situation we're in now. But if I'm comparing those two couples to the current two, it's looking like, you know, apples and lemons. It's a good thing Trump coined fake news, because I would say media-wise, they are seriously gunning for Trump. And Boris has taken on a hot seat. I'd say to both of them, it's going to be real trying times for them. It's very interesting times for the current prime ministers. The both and president, the both of them were handed extremely hot plates. And it's going to be very interesting to see how they take it from here, because every step and move they make right now are trying times. Even in the world, there's a lot going on at the moment. And with these two at the helm of each respective countries, it's going to be very interesting to see how they approach things. They are somewhat like-minded. Media seems to be absolutely gunning for Boris here, but you know, you have on the other side, you have Corbyn. So it's very, very interesting times that we have in the UK. You know, we're going to be up a lot sooner than anybody else, so we can see what happens there. By the end of the year, it could be a whole different landscape in the UK. And with Trump, with what's going on currently at the moment, I did touch upon last time, it's very interesting times to see the outcome of that. But nevertheless, there's a lot of pushing and pulling, and nobody seems to be giving way. So the outcomes are going to be very interesting times to see. But can either one of these two be the catalyst for, you know, the oncoming days of the US or the UK looking like Venezuela? But I'm going to wrap this one up, guys. But I would love to hear your thoughts on opinions as to whether you believe the US or the UK could end up looking like Venezuela. Is it possible? And if so, what do you see being the catalyst or any situation that kicks it off, and how do you see the outcome of that? So once again, if you haven't done so, guys, it'd be fantastic if you went ahead and subscribed. And also, please do let me know what you think of this video. And I'll catch you guys on the rebound.